All right, I got to take a quick second here to talk a little bit about how I like to monitor um, my spots, preseason scouting, or even throughout the season. As you know, ducks will respond to pressure. You scare them out too much, you run the risk of running them off. Um, so, uh, modern technology didn't have this when I was a kid, but now with the advent of all the cellular cameras, and they're relatively affordable. Not cheap, but not crazy expensive. You can set up a monitoring station on your hole and watch the ducks almost 24/7, at least anytime they're going to be there. And you kind of see what's going on. You can use it to monitor. I've used it to monitor the plantings to see if they are coming on, how they're looking. You need one, you got to get pretty close to it, have pretty good high definition to actually be able to see that. But you can set them on a time lapse, and that's key. A duck, unless he almost lands on the camera, is not going to set off the trigger that like a deer or even a raccoon or something might do. I have had ducks set it off, and they were literally almost landing on the camera. They were coming in so close you almost couldn't see the entire duck in the frame. But if you get some of these that have the time lapse function, and it's tricky finding it out because it's not well advertised in a lot of the specs. They'll tell you shutter speed and megapixels and all that jazz, but they don't talk about the time lapse feature, which you have to have if you want to do this. A couple years ago, I started with a couple of Moultrie cameras. Won't do that again. They failed. They just weren't very good, and they don't make that one anymore anyway. What they replaced it with doesn't have time lapse. I switched over to Stealth Cam. I think this is their reactor cam that I have set up. I've got put 4 of them out last season. I kept buying them. It was a weakness, but put them out in the various holes, put them on the creek, and that helped me. I knew ducks were coming to certain places. I knew when they were coming in, what they were using, and then I could plan accordingly without coming out here and worrying about bumping the ducks and running them out. So I want to talk a little bit about how I set that up, what I think is important that you need to consider for making this work. So you can see behind me is a setup I've got. Let's bring you in a little closer. And you can see the camera down there is lower. Above that is a solar battery pack. It's got a solar panel on the top and I think a 4,000 milliamp battery pack inside it. What I found last season, just using these cameras run by themselves on 4 AA batteries. I put them out here last year, and if the temperature got really down into the 30s, those batteries got cold and they just didn't work. It would still take pictures, it wouldn't transmit. So that was useless. So I found these, the solar packs that they have, picked them up at the same place with the cameras, Cabela's, Bass Pro, online, wherever. Plug those guys in. I think these cameras go for about $150 each. The solar battery pack is another $100, so you're talking $250 a pop here. Um, um, but it works good. What I will say, it's almost lunchtime here. August, North Carolina, lots of sun. This is under a tree. The sun's going to come across in front of us here in a little bit, and it probably gets several hours of sunlight this afternoon. This battery has run down. They need to be in full sun to maintain a charge. Now, if they are in full sun, I'll turn around here real quick. I started off with that dead tree right there over my shoulder. I had it sitting out there early season, and that was great. The battery pack wasn't even fully charged when I set it out there, and it got enough sunlight to fully charge it. I set it back over here where it's shaded, and in a couple weeks, it had gone down. So I'm going to move it back out there and hope that it'll start charging back up. I'm going to re-aim it so I can watch this rice and other stuff grow, just because who doesn't like watch rice grow, right? But for setting it up, you'll have several options. You should have the ability for good time-lapse functionality. You should have the ability to set the time in between the time-lapse, how many you want, and the frequency with which it uploads to the server. Both of them that I've used had like this instant upload feature. And while that's fun, you can sit there drinking your morning coffee or whatever and just watch them as they come in. It eats the batteries really fast. I have this set up now. It uploads at the top of the hour. Every hour it will upload. And you can set the boundaries when it starts in the morning and when it stops. I think I've got it basically sunrise to sunset is about what I set it. Anything that comes through in the evening, I never really saw ducks outside of at night. So anything that comes through and sets it off, deer and stuff, you'll just see those things when they upload in the morning. But I actually have these set up right now to take a picture every 5 minutes. And that was cool. I think even like when I was coming into the season, I set it every 1 minute. So I could almost watch a movie of ducks coming in, which these do take a movie, but they don't upload that to the server. You have to come get the card out if you want to watch the videos that it takes. But every 5 minutes, I bought the unlimited plan, which at the time was only $20 a month. Not cheap, not free, certainly, but not ridiculous. I made back off on the 4 cameras. That was $80 a month. I probably won't do it that frequently. Um, Try to maybe just narrow in. Probably only set it for a couple of hours during the morning, just to catch what's going on in the morning. Sounds like Airborne's coming in to get me here. But just to cut that plan back. They have other plans where you can choose, 2,000 pictures a month, whatever. So pick whatever suits your needs. But the spy cam stuff has been stealth cam stuff. I'm sorry, I may have said spy cam before. Stealth cam. It's been pretty good this season. I've got one camera that might be on the fritz, but it might have gotten submerged when we got a big flood that came through early July. So I'm not going to fault the camera if it got submerged and doesn't work anymore. It's telling me I put a brand new battery pack in it and it says the batteries are low, but I know they're not because I put them in another camera and they're fine. So yeah, think about battery life with these. I did use cheap AA batteries. Maybe that had an impact on it, but when it got cold, the batteries didn't want to work. Solar panel works good. I did have to come out through the season when some of the places I put them, I couldn't expose them in full sun because you got to point it where the ducks are. So I would come out, once or twice and take them inside. They charge with a USB charger. I thought I had maybe an earlier version of this solar panel didn't do that. I read some reviews. Mine has a USB charger, so I just plug them in, charge them up overnight, and bring them back out, whenever I can, and that works just fine. But put them in full sun if you can. Um, and set that interval for, think about what you want to pay for your plan, your data plan. Set these guys out, and it works really good. It's fun, right? You can't necessarily duck hunt every day, but I can watch this camera every day if I want to. I could tell when we were getting some rain out here um, on the crops we got growing out here. We've got a dove field across the road and in another field as well. So I was able to monitor rain. I can see what water levels are at. I knew that after we had a big flood, of course I could see that this was flooded, but I could tell that something had gone wrong with my water control structures because it was keeping water on it. The water wasn't draining, and I found out that um, the place where I have it plugged, there's a beaver ditch that comes in from the creek, and that had blown out with the flood. So I knew I needed to come back out here and fix that. So it's like being here without being here. The ducks will swim right past it. They obviously don't know. I did have a little fawn and one on the other end side of the property last year come in and check it out. I think he was sniffing it. He must have seen something funny. But yeah, it's cool. I think it's really effective. You can't get away all the time. We'd love to be able to come out and look at our duck holes every morning just to see what ducks are doing. With this, you can. You can't drive out every morning, and even if you could, you probably shouldn't because you're going to scare the ducks out of there. So that's how I handle this. I just wanted to share my thought. I think I haven't seen anybody else talking about this. I can't imagine I'm the first guy to ever think of this idea. Granted, I am pretty smart, but I'm sure somebody else is doing this out there. I've just never seen anybody talk about it. So get yourself a nice cellular time-lapse camera. I would recommend the stealth cam setup. It's been effective. I think their prices on their plans are reasonable. So go for it. Put it out there, monitor your duck hole, and then you can plan accordingly. So that's how I handle it. All right. Thanks a lot.